Rodger Goodell had his press conference on whatever. I don't care about Rodger.
No, I'm just waiting for which quote you're going to take.
Well, the one that stood out to me was the most preposterous thing I've heard him say in at least like a week.
Right.
Which was that the state of officiating has never been better in the NFL. Are you kidding me? Like, what are we doing here, Rodger? Come on.
It's hard to stomach those sorts of comments.
It really is.
Only because
it literally makes you sick.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's not many things wrong with the NFL and how it operates. I think you could point out probably a few things, but I think the one consistent thing has been the officiating and how inconsistent it's been, whether in how they're enforcing certain rules. And I understand year to year you're going to have different points of emphasis, but I think even people who have been previous VPs of officiating would tell you, whether it's Mike Pereira or Dean Blandino, that week to week, crew to crew, game to game, there's tremendous inconsistencies. And that's a problem, especially as we're venturing into a world where gambling, gaming is becoming more of a piece of all of it. And I think, look, if it was up to me, if I was running a gambling book, I'm not giving out refunds to a lot of these people out here who email and call in and bitch and moan about these bets that they've lost. I'm not going to give a refund to it. They're lucky these sports books are so kind to be able to give them refunds for when there's a little bit of a debate there. I know they're just going to keep playing more. It's an act of goodwill.
Right. No, it's not an act of goodwill. It's actually it's like free promotion to give it back. Like, well, but the thing to me is, how can you sit there when you've got this eye in the sky, this replay assist, expedite replay, whatever you want to call it, that you randomly and haphazardly enforce and drop out of nowhere without any idea of like when it might be used, who might get it, who might get the assistance there, like the Devontae Smith situation with the catch. It was not a catch. The 49ers probably not going to win that game anyway, but like that flipped the game. It was the third or fourth most important play of the game by EPA, which I know you're a huge fan of, Brady.
Love EPA.
Wilson, I know you're sick and tired of me complaining about officials because I do it every week, but by golly, Rodger?
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm tired of you complaining about it, but there are actually reasons for you to complain. I get that. And it sort of reminds me of Rodger Goodell saying what he said today, and I'm going to go old school history here on you, Brady. Back during the first Gulf War, the minister of propaganda for Iraq would stand up in front of the background and say, everything's fine, and the walls were shaking because that's Rodger Goodell talking about, oh, everything's fine, there's nothing going on. Meanwhile, there's game after game, week after week. The officiating is a huge issue. Gambling or no gambling, and fans are frustrated. Gamblers are obviously frustrated. I would imagine the books are frustrated as well. And I'm sure if you asked Rodger Goodell privately, he would say this is a real problem.
I never thought I could love you any more than right now because you found a way of getting the Gulf War
like that
mixed into the Pick Six podcast. Now I just need to hear you somehow work in General Schwarzkopf.
And
it's coming.
Perhaps a bear or two.
Here we go.
I would have gone with the "this is fine" dog meme. No, Wilson goes with the Iraqi minister of propaganda.
Well, the first thing I said to myself is, what would Brinson do? And I said the dog meme, and I said, you know what? Let's step it up a few notches.
There you go. Fair enough.
Well done. Hey, kudos to you.
I appreciate it.
Rodger Goodell also talks about the state of minority hires in the NFL.
Well, let's just really quickly.
Yeah, what happened? Like, how do you fix it?
That's what I think it's about. We can moan and complain about it, but if you don't have a solution, there's nothing there, right? It's fodder for talk, and everyone keeps perpetuating the same issue. I think the college football world has it down to a degree.
Yeah.
Their replay process, they don't always get it right, but it's much more efficient. It's widely used. It makes more sense than trying to have this centralized hub in New York that's making these decisions instead of having a crew there on site, that it feels like they're more involved in the process.
And doesn't it feel like the coaches are less angry about the outcomes of the calls?
I get the sense. At least that's what it feels like. And I'm not saying that's for 100%, but I think 90% of the time they feel like the replay officials do a good job with it. I think more than anything else, what they need to clean up, because we're now here with technology and the TV angles and everything else, we can now just re-officiate the play. We don't need to take into account what the call was on the field. All right? Like, we need to stop having this language where we have a burden of proof to overcome, to either confirm or overturn. Just re-officiate the play. Was it a catch? Was it not? Right. What does the replay show you? Stop taking into account what was on the field. Take into account what everyone in the world's looking at.
And again, like, you have this situation with this replay assist or this expedited replay, whatever you want to call it. What really bothers me is that when it happens, when it occurs on the field, you have these officials that go, well, after a further conversation, we've decided that was a catch. It's like, no, you didn't have a further conversation. The league doesn't want to admit when officials screw up.
Right.
And so they buzz in occasionally, and they're way more prone to do it on island games because for whatever reason, like, and I guess he's our boy,
By the way, Brady, him complaining about the officials, it irritates me, but I get it. When he says island games, that really triggers me.
Island games? Is that your alternative word for primetime?
Yes.
What?
Yeah, he says
yes, but have you not noticed that the replay assist is more prevalent during island games? It is. You know what? Because for whatever reason, they don't have enough people in the league office watching the games on Sunday who can actually officiate these situations. It's crazy, man. Like, this is an $18 billion business. What are we doing?
You think you could hire and train more people to fix this problem, right?
Thank you.
The other thing is, why does college football have an additional official than the NFL?
That part I don't get.
I don't really get that either, and I've talked with Mike Pereira and Dean Blandino at length about this, and their response is always, that's not going to really take too much of the burden off it, but I don't know how it hurts. I mean, I think if you're divvying up tasks even more so, it's an extra set of eyes, it's an extra vantage point that you could have someone who maybe sees something differently, and as they come in to all discuss whatever that conversation is, a call on the field, they can hopefully have a better angle of getting it right. So that's another piece of it where, is this just the NFL being cheap? I mean, is that part of it, or do they just not mind the controversy? Because
I think that's part of it.
Kind of perpetuates the conversation throughout the course of the week with some of the games.
Right.
All right, I'm being told that we are talking far too much about officiating.
What do you got?
If you like more officiating chatter, by all means, subscribe to the Pick Six Podcast. You will get it every Sunday, right off the bat, usually. So, minority hires. Rodger Goodell, I think he thinks there's been progress. Do we agree with him, yes or no?
Yeah, well, compared to what? Yes, is probably the answer. D'Amico Ryan's got hired this cycle. We'll see what happens with Eric Bieniemy. Probably looks like he's not going to get the Cardinals job, I don't think. But it's better. But again, Steve Wilkes got fired after going 6-6,
right,
for a team that hired Frank Reich.
I would say the biggest thing is we need to get more minority coaches on the offensive side of the ball. If you look at the trend of hiring right now, head coaches and even ones that are successful in getting to whether it's the Super Bowl, playoffs, etc., it's heavily weighted towards the offensive side of the ball. We need to figure out a way of getting more minority coaches, more experience in the offensive side of the ball, and more opportunities. Eric Bieniemy obviously is a candidate. However, maybe the lack of success from Matt Nagy and some of the others who've kind of come from that tree under Andy Reid, maybe it's hurt them in some ways, given the lack of success Nagy had. So, and it's an individual situation. I don't know the specifics to it, but there still needs to be more candidates from that side of the football.
Agree completely. All right, we got to talk about some Chiefs offense. How it will fare against the Eagles defense, what those two sides will do when they face off. Couple more, it's a little cleanup matters. Wrapping up Rodger Goodell's State of the League. He talks for 15 minutes and doesn't say anything. It's amazing. Except when people with planted questions ask him stuff he wants to answer.
It's relatable to the Pick Six podcast. There's a little bit of that on your end of things. So
I'd say it's a little bit longer, though. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had me until the 15 minutes.
Right, exactly. So, Rodger Goodell said he would not be surprised, roughly, paraphrasing here, if Thursday Night Football was eventually something that could be flexed. Now, I didn't play professional football. Ryan didn't play professional football. You, Brady Quinn, did play professional football. How would you feel if suddenly it was Monday and you found out that your game was on Thursday? Now, probably they do it a week or so in advance,
yeah,
but still.
You'd think you'd have a couple weeks in advance.
You would hope so.
I think the tough thing is for players and coaches in scheduling that is you'd almost need a few weeks in advance. That's looked at as almost a second bye week, the way a lot of teams look at that Thursday night game. Because you typically get off that next day of the weekend. It's an opportunity for recovery depending on where it strikes in the course of the season. And so, look, I didn't realize that Amazon has that much power and sway. Maybe that's Rodger Goodell just saying, hey, Amazon, pay a little extra money and we'll make this game, being able to be flexed into this spot, another revenue stream for them. Or it's Al Michaels, who wants a better game with his pregame meal and his steak that he eats apparently throughout the course.
He eats it during the game. It's amazing.
He eats it during the game. So maybe at halftime, he wants to be able to enjoy the second half with his steak, so he's got a better match.
Credit to Pardon My Take for the interview with Kirk Herbstreit, where he revealed that Kirk's like, he's like, usually I do this other show on Saturdays, pretty big show. He's like, they bring me a sandwich. Yeah. He's like, start doing Amazon Thursday Night Football, and Al Michaels is just mealing down on a prime rib.
Budget, the NFL budget, two completely different things.
Yeah, that Bezos money, man, it kicks it.
Yeah, the guy builds rockets.
Yeah,
that look like pepper grinders. Pepper mills, whatever it's called.
Sure, whatever you say. Wilson, what do you think about the idea of flip-flopping around teams on Thursday Night Football?
I'll just say, first of all, I'm pretty much we're living in a simulation. I'll leave it at that. Because this is one of the weirdest Super Bowls I've ever been a part of, and only because of the last 5 minutes. But what I will say...
And it's only getting weirder because of this techno music bumping in the background.
I do think in terms of flexing the games, on some level, it makes sense for the league in terms of generating money, right? The players are going to be the ones getting the short end of the stick. But I think the logistics are the issue. Like, how do you figure this out 2, 3, 4 weeks in advance? But that could be one of these sort of meaty reveal things that the NFL rolls out there a month in advance of the games they're going to do, and to try to sell that.
It's a real opportunity for the NFLPA to try to get something back in return. This is clearly something that I think the NFL wants. Obviously, Amazon wants. This is an opportunity. If you're the NFLPA, the union, you go try to get something back in return, whatever that may be.
Maybe you could get you could legalize marijuana. Just kidding. That's what they got last time in exchange for what, like an 18-game schedule.
It wasn't legalized. I think the threshold was made as such where it's
right. I mean, fine, make it legal. Fine. That's just give them something that you were going to give them anyway. All right, I'm told we're supposed to leave now. Rodger Goodell also said, I don't see us going back to the old Pro Bowl format. Not really a huge surprise there, right?
No, but the Pro Bowl's not what it used to be.
Yeah.
When it was in Hawaii, it was a treat. It was really something that players looked forward to, that took their families to. And guys played in it. And then it used to be looked at as, hey, that was a true accomplishment. Now, I don't think it's viewed as the same way anymore. When you say guys a Pro Bowl caliber player, it's viewed differently, especially amongst the guys who remember back when you got that invite, you went, it was something special.
No, it just feels like it's a popularity contest in the sense that the fans enjoy it, the voting process. I would imagine. I haven't seen the ratings for the flag football thing, but if
I'm sure it's great.
And then it's going to continue to happen.
You don't think it's great? The NFL could do anything, and it's going to end up being big.
I mean, comparatively speaking to other All-Stars, maybe, but I wouldn't call it great. I'm watching that thinking, this is the best we can do with the NFL. Just give them the bye week. Like let everyone hang out, have fun.
Give them a check for $85,000 and move on, and everybody take a vacation. Go to Hawaii.